अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। साक्षाद्धरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रैरुक्तस्तथा भाव्यते एव सद्भिः किन्तु प्रभोर्यः प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरोः श्रीचरणारविन्दम्। यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्याप्रसादान्न गति कुतोऽपि ध्यायन्स्तु वंस्तस्य यशस्त्रिसन्ध्यं वन्दे गुरोः श्रीचरणारविन्दम्। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। सर्वेभ्यो नमः, सर्वेषां कृते नमस्काराः. Welcome to this session, the fourth session of Sat-katha. We are now reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Dashama Skandha. We are listening to Sri Krishna Leela. The first question I'll ask today is, why listen to this? Why do Bhagavata Katha? Why listen to Bhagavad Gita? And we have reflected on this before, but it's important to remind ourselves again. Normally, we think of ourselves, me, and the world in which we live. Me and the world. And we are caught up in this connection between the me and the world. And more often than we would like, we find that we experience misery. We do not want misery, but we experience misery. How does misery come to us? It comes in different forms. For example, ambiguity of purpose. Very often we find ourselves asking the question, what exactly is the purpose of my life? What do I want to achieve in life? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing whatever I'm doing? What should I be doing actually? So, ambiguity of purpose is a misery. Then there is confusion in the process. Let's say we decide to pursue something, but we are not often sure how exactly it should be done. Am I doing it the right way? Am I going towards that particular goal? Will I really reach the goal that I have in mind by doing what I'm doing? This kind of confusion drives us into misery. Then there are unfulfilled desires. We desire many different things. We pursue them, but then we don't always end up getting what we desire, or we don't end up getting it to the extent that we want to have it. So, unfulfilled desires always remain in the heart, they burn the heart, and they cause us misery. Then there are disturbed relationships. Relationships could be with our close, nearby, near and dear ones. It could be with our friends, with our teachers, with the society in general, with the government, whatever. There are disturbed relationships in our life which give us a lot of misery. And there is mental stress. There's an enormous amount of mental stress that we experience because of excessive work, lack of proper sleep, so many reasons mental stress is caused, and that gives us plenty of misery. And in addition to that, there is also bodily disease. Our body undergoes so many problems. We may get something as simple as a small fever or a cold, to something as much bigger than that, to something like a disease which requires hospitalization and long-term cure. So this also causes us a lot of problems. So different ways in which we get misery which we don't just want, but it comes by itself. Now, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavata Katha, as prescribed to us in, let's say, Bhagavatam, in the other texts like Mahabharata, Ramayana, the Puranas, and then, of course, the Upanishads, and so many other texts, they make us aware of the existence of someone called God or Bhagavan. There is an Ishwar, there is somebody higher than us, there is somebody who is all encompassing, of which each one of us is a part. And the good news is that we are actually of the same nature as that divine being. We also have an inherent divine nature. That is our real nature. And so, by reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and so on, we become aware of this connection between ourselves and God, as well as the connection between God and the world. And you can see how bringing God into the picture actually completes the triangle. And at the center of this triangle lies happiness. By creating this triangle in our life, by bringing God into the picture and making all the connections complete, we can generate happiness, or we can discover happiness. Happiness already exists inside us. We can discover that happiness and eliminate or nullify the misery that we experience. So, how does misery get nullified when we bring God into the picture, it's simply because all of these things like ambiguity of purpose, confusion in the process, they automatically get resolved. We're able to, in connection with God, by awareness of God, we are able to discover what our real purpose is. It need not be that I should leave everything, and in most cases, it's not that I should leave all my occupation, my responsibilities, and go away somewhere to search for God. That is not the way to search for God. The search for God is in what we are doing, in the work that we do, right? So we discover purpose in what we do. We discover a clear goal, a clear way to achieve what we want to do. And automatically, a lot of unfulfilled desires fall into place. We learn what to desire and what not to desire. We learn to prioritize between desires. Our relationships get sorted out. We learn how to sort them out. We learn the intelligence that comes when we become aware of God's existence and the principles that Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam are teaching us. They help us to resolve these things. And in the course of doing all that, mental stress goes away and we learn to live a healthy life. We learn how to live in a way that bodily disease or the likelihood for disease gets minimized. And even if unfortunately disease does come to us, we learn how to cope with it. We learn how to deal with it. So, this is the reason why bringing God into the picture helps us to complete this triangle of happiness. It brings happiness to us in such a way that it is sustained happiness. It eliminates misery. It's just like switching on this light. When I switch on the light, I don't have to separately remove darkness from that room. Darkness automatically goes away. It's not like there are two different things to do. Switch on the light, number one, remove the darkness, number two. Only one thing needs to be done, that is to switch on the light, and automatically darkness goes away. Similarly, bringing God automatically brings that light into our life, which by which the other part called misery or darkness automatically goes away. So this is why we should bring Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and become very devoted to listening to it, understanding it, and incorporating the principles into our life. We must make very conscious effort to understand this, spend time on it, at least some time every week, like you're doing now for this class, but even beyond this class, on a daily basis, some amount of reflection on this, sorting out your own aspects of your own life through what you're learning now, and bringing happiness into your life or discovering, uncovering that happiness which exists inside you. So, with these words, I will go back to our learning, our class. So, what did we learn so far? Doing a quick recap. Our story began with the grand marriage procession of Devaki and Vasudeva, with Kamsa, Devaki's first cousin, being the charioteer. Then suddenly there is this Akashavani, the voice from nowhere, and then subsequently Vasudeva's counsel to Kamsa, who is ready to kill his own sister. Then Kamsa releases his sister after listening to Vasudeva's promise that Vasudeva will bring all the children to him one by one. And subsequent to that, Narada visits Kamsa, and Narada tells him that the Devas are actually here on this earth as the members of the Yadu dynasty, and also in Vraja. They've taken birth in Vraja and they've taken birth in the Yadu dynasty to which you belong. They're all around you and they're all plotting how to kill your friends and maybe you also. And this Akashavani must be taken seriously. So after that, Kamsa does very drastic things. He gets completely disturbed and he takes very drastic actions. So what does Kamsa do? We heard in the last class. Uh, he binds Devaki and Vasudeva first with chains, and then he kills each of the six sons as soon as the son is born. Vasudeva does not have to now bring the child to him. He knows the child is born. He goes quickly and thinking that it could be Vishnu, he kills the child. Um, then he understands or he recollects that he was actually an asura in his own previous birth called Kalanemi. And as Kalanemi, he was killed by Vishnu. So, recollecting that, he now develops very intense feelings of enmity, inimical feelings towards the Yadus, who he thinks are all devotees of Vishnu who have taken birth to plot against him and kill him. They're all his traitors. Subsequently, he also imprisons his own father Ugrasena, who is the king of these dynasties, the Yadu dynasty and the branches of the Yadu dynasty, the Bhoja Andhaka dynasty. And then he rules that region, which is called the Shurasena region. He rules that himself. Everybody is under his control now. He's very powerful and he's ruling. So, with this, the first chapter of the Dashamaskanda of Bhagavatam ended, and today we start the second chapter. So, let's go on to the second chapter now. Shri Shuka Uvacha Pralambabakachanura Trinavartamahashanaihi Mushtikarishta Putana Keshidhenukaihi. So Shukamuni said, with the help of Pralamba, Baka, Chanura, Trinavarta, Aghasura, Mushtika, Arishta, Dvivida, Putana, Keshi, Dhenuka, all of these are different friends of Kamsa, and they're all demoniac. They're all asuric personalities, and they all take part in assisting Kamsa. So, with their help and अन्यैश्चासुरभूपालैर्बाणभौमादिभिर्युतः यदूनां कदनं चक्रे बली मागध संश्रयः. So along with all those people and numerous asura kings like Banasura, Bhaumasura, what did Kamsa do? He wreaked havoc. Kadanam chakre. Kadanam means havoc, disturbance, okay, pain. On whom? On the Yadus, on his own dynasty people. And he took strength by his refuge in Jarasandha. Jarasandha was the king of the Magadha region. So Magadha region today corresponds to some parts of Bihar, like Patna, and region south of Patna, like Gaya. So the region that at that time was Magadha is today here in this form. And so Jarasandha was ruling there at that point of time. And Jarasandha happens to be the father-in-law of Kamsa. His two daughters are married to Kamsa. So taking refuge in him, taking his help, um, Kamsa became stronger. And with that strength, he inflicted enormous amount of torture on the Yadus, who he thought, he believed now after Narada's visit, are devotees of Vishnu. So thinking that Vishnu will come and kill me again, with that fear in mind, he wanted to do as much damage as possible and as much prevention of as possible of Vishnu's attacking him. ते पीडिता निविविशुः कुरु पञ्चालकेकयान् शाल्वान् विदर्भा निषदान् शाल्वान् विदर्भान् निषधान् विदेहान् कौसलान् अपि. So these people, the Yadus, were so much troubled that they could not any longer live in that place. Their life became miserable. So they left Mathura region and they went into nearby regions. What are the regions that they entered? That's mentioned here. The region called Kuru. Kurudesh is where the Hastinapur, the Pandavas, the I mean the Kauravas, Pandavas, and all these people, they would eventually come there after some more time. So that place and the Panchala region, place where Draupadi was born, then Kekaya, Shalva, Vidarbha. Vidarbha today is Nagpur, place where Nagpur is, that region is Vidarbha today. Nishadha, Videha, Kosala. So nearby regions around Mathura, they fled into these places and took refuge in those regions. एके तमनुरुन्धाना ज्ञातयः पर्युपासते हतेषु षट्सु बालेषु devakya augrasenina. So the first line says that, okay, even though a lot of this Yadu family people went into nearby regions because they could not withstand his torture, some people still remained back with him, like for example Akrura. And even though they knew what was going on, they could not go anywhere else, so they decided to remain there and follow his orders. Whatever he told them, they just did, and they cooperated with him. They engaged in keeping him happy. So then it says, Hateshu Shatshu Baleshu, when 6 sons of Devaki were killed by Kamsa. So each time Kamsa got the news that a son was born, a child was born, he would quickly go there, he would grab the child and dash it, lift it up in the air and hit it on a stone, and the child would naturally die. So when this happened, then what did he do? सप्तमो वैष्णवं धाम यमनन्तं प्रचक्षते गर्भो बभूव देवक्या हर्षशोकविवर्धनः. The seventh child of Devaki appeared in the womb of Devaki, and this child was not like the other 6. It was actually an amsha, dhamma. The word dhamma is used here. Dhamma has got many meanings in Sanskrit. So this meaning here is amsha, means a partial expansion of Vishnu himself. It's known as Ananta. So Ananta is his expansion. So if you go to Bhagavatam, in elsewhere in the Bhagavatam, it's described how in his original form, Sri Bhagavan resides in Gokula as Krishna, as the boy of Vraja, the small child of Vraja. And in that form, he is in his most natural state. But in order to cater to the needs of different living beings, both living beings who are Nitya Muktas, who are always liberated, they are not in samsara, as well as the living beings like us who are in samsara. To cater to their needs, he expands himself. Okay, it is possible for him to do that because his consciousness is like that. He has the ability to exist in multiple different forms simultaneously, and each of those forms can act independent of each other. So he expands in different forms, and his different expansions take different names. So, a very broad expansion of his is called Vishnu, and that Vishnu expansion expands in many other ways into different forms that we know. So, there is a whole hierarchy of forms, a whole process of expansion given to us, and one of them is called Anantasesha. Anantasesha is that expansion of his own self that on which he resides, on which he lives as you can say Kshirodakashaya Vishnu in this samsara, in this universe. So that form called Ananta always appears with him. And for example, in his appearance as Rama, the son of Dasharatha in Ramayana, Ananta appears as Lakshmana. Lakshmana is Anantasesha. Similarly, here in Krishna Lila, he comes as Balarama, and so on. So he appeared in the womb of Devaki. And when Devaki felt the presence of Sri Ananta, whether she knew it was Ananta or not, she knew the seventh child had come. And it made her extremely happy, but it also made her extremely sad. Harsha Shoka Vivardhanaha. Increased both her happiness and her sadness. Why it increased her sadness? Naturally, because she knew or she expected that Kamsa will come now after some time when this child is born and again kill this child. So I'm very happy that I'm bearing a child, but I'm also very miserable that after all, this child also has to meet the same end that my earlier six children have met. Bhagavanapi Vishwatma Viditva Kamsajam Bhayam Yadunam Nijanathanam Yogamayam Samadishat. So Sri Bhagavan now he's in Goloka, his Gokula, his original place. So he is Vishwatma. He also is present in this universe as the Atma of the universe. He's all pervading. He pervades every part of this universe as the Atma of the universe. He's called Vishwatma. So he knew, he's very conscious about how all the Yadus, they consider Kamsa their master now because they are under the reign, they are living in on this earth under the rule of Kamsa and how they are living in fear. He knew this, so he was preparing for his own appearance. So what did he do? He called Yogamaya and he gave her instructions with enthusiasm. So, who is Yogamaya? Okay, here the word Yogamaya is used, and again in the Bhagavad-Gita, in some places we'll see this word Yogamaya. Somewhere it's mentioned Atma Maya, right? Yogamaya. Naham prakashas sarvasya Yogamaya samavritah. In the seventh chapter, he says, I am not visible to everybody because I'm covered by my Yogamaya. My Yogamaya covers me. She prevents people from knowing my real nature. Similarly, janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so arjuna ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakritim swam adhisthaya sambhavami atma mayaya. So there he uses the word atma maya. I appear by my own prakriti, by my own natural swarupa shakti. In my own swarupa, in my most natural form, I appear using my yoga maya, taking the help of my yoga maya. So, who is this Yoga Maya? So, among the different Shaktis of Bhagavan, Bhagavan is a Shaktiman. He has so many different types of Shaktis. Now, there is a classification that is prevalent, and that classification says that Bhagavan broadly has three types of Shaktis. Is Antaranga Shakti. Antaranga means is internal, Swarup Shakti. And then Bahiranga Shakti. Bahiranga Shakti means external, Bahiranga, external Shakti. And then Tatastha Shakti, or his marginal Shakti, which is in between the two. Tatastha Shakti. So, what are these three Shaktis? The Antaranga Shakti itself has different manifestations. So, here, one of the manifestations, I'll go into more details in a subsequent class, but here we are interested in one of the expansions of that Antaranga Shakti called Yogamaya. So Maya comes out of that Antaranga Shakti of Bhagavan and she assists Bhagavan in his different leelas, in his different activities. So the same Maya takes the form of Mahamaya and acts on the Jivatmas in this samsara. In both cases, she does what the living being wants. According to the living being's desire, she facilitates the existence of that living being. So, Sri Bhagavan wants to serve the other living beings. He wants to perform different types of leelas which will attract the others towards him. So, Yogamaya assists him in doing that. So, Yogamaya comes in this way and she acts upon Sri Bhagavan and the bhaktas of Bhagavan and facilitates their interaction, their different activities. So, what did he tell Yogamaya? So, he says, Gachatvam vrajam bhadre, gachat devi vrajam bhadre, gaccha devi vrajam bhadre, gopa gopi bhiralankritam, rohini vasudevasya bharyaste nanda gokule, anyascha kamsa samvigna vivareshu vasantihi. Gaccha Devi, O goddess, go away from here. Please go from here. Where should you go? Vraja. Go to Vraja. Go to the place called Vraja on Bhumi, on Bhuloka. Bhadre. The word Bhadra means one who is worship worthy or one who makes this, you know, uh, place very auspicious, who brings fortune to others. Gopa Gopi Vipulankratam. The place called Vraja is adorned or is actually filled or made attractive by the Gopas and the Gopis. The Gopas and the Gopis, they live in Vraja. And there in Vraja, Rohini, a person by name Rohini. Who is Rohini? Vasudevasya Bharya. She is Vasudeva's wife. She also lives. And in the specific place called Nanda Gokula. So in Vraja, Vraja is a region. It's a region like a small district. In that region, Nanda lives in a small village called Gokula. So in Gokula, Rohini is living with Nanda. And Anyascha Kamsa Samvignaha Vivareshu Vasantihi. Other wives, Vasudeva has multiple wives. Two of them are Devaki and Rohini. There are other wives also, and they also are living in Vraja, but they are not living in Gokula because of fear of Kamsa. Kamsa Samvignaha, troubled or terrified by Kamsa. They also live there, but in very hidden places. Maybe some of them are living under, caves, living inside caves or in mountains or in some other villages away from Gokula. Nobody knows where they are. So go there, go to that place. Devakya jhatare garbham sheshakyam dhama mamakam tatsannikrishya rohinya udare sanniveshaya. So he says, in the womb of Devaki, Devakya jatare garbham, there is an embryo called Sheshakyam, called Shesha. That embryo is called Shesha. It's not an ordinary child, it is Dhama Mamakam, means it is my own expansion. It is my Amsha which is there. It is me in another form who's there. Tat Sannikrishya, take out that embryo, remove that embryo from Devaki and Rohinya Udare Sanniveshaya. Keep it in the womb of Rohini. Okay, so he instructs the Yogamaya that please remove this from Devaki's womb and place it in the womb of Rohini. So this corresponds to how today also we do this, no, surrogate mother concept, where the fertilization of the child happens somewhere, and the actual birth and the growth of the baby in the as an embryo happens in the womb of a different mother. You can see how this idea is not entirely new; it was done earlier too. अथाहम् अंशभागेन देवक्याः पुत्रतां शुभे प्राप्स्यामि त्वं यशोदायां नन्दपत्न्यां भविष्यसि. After you do that, what I will do, Amshabhagena, in my complete form, I will appear as the son of Devaki, Devakyaha Putratam Prapsyami. I will become the son of Devaki. And then you, Tvam, Yashodayam, Nandapatnyam Bhavishyasi, and you will take birth. He's instructing her, you shall take birth as the daughter of Nanda or daughter of Yashoda, the wife of Nanda. You will take birth or you will go and occupy the womb of Yashoda, who is the wife of uh, Nanda. So do all this, he says. So here in this shloka, I've been, whenever I prepare for this class, I prepare with the help of the different vyakhyas or commentaries written by the past scholars. A lot of different scholars over hundreds of years have commented on Bhagavatam because it's one of the prominent texts of the Indian knowledge system. So, on Bhagavatam alone, there are so many different commentaries. I have a collection of some 10 different commentaries on me. 10 different scholars have commented. I got it from some website. And I study those commentaries to the extent I can, the amount of time that I have. As I do the translation, as I'm translating, I first study the commentary and then I try to translate in accordance with those commentaries. And in some of those commentaries, I find very fine meanings given. So here the word amshabhagaha is used. Aham amshabhagena putratam prapsyami. So normally, what does the word amshabhagaha mean? Amshaha means a fragment or a portion. Bhagaha means again the same thing, a portion, a piece, or a division, right? Bhag karna. Amsh, uska amsha hai, bhag hai. In Hindi we use these words. Sanskrit also similar meaning. But if you look at the Vyakhyas, they have brought out very fine shades of meaning. Because if you don't look at these Vyakyas, if you just look at the original words, it looks like again Sri Bhagavan is saying that a small portion of me will appear as the son of Devaki. Because earlier he talked about his own Amsha or Dhama. He used the word Dhama there, he didn't use the word Amsha. He used the word Dhama to refer to his own portion, Anantasesha. And now he's using Amsha Bhagena. So it may look like, okay, one portion has become Ananta and another portion of me will become Devaki's son as Krishna. So that means that Krishna also is some kind of partial manifestation. So these commentators, these scholars, they say no, that's not the way to understand it. When he comes as Krishna, that's his original form. He is his full manifestation. It's his complete manifestation with all his qualities. All his aspects are present in that appearance as Krishna. It's not a partial expansion like Ananta or as Sri Ramachandra or any other form. So, how do we understand that word Amshabhagaha? So, I found across these Vyakyas some 11 different meanings in all by different scholars. And the last of these scholars, the most recent of them, is Sri Baladev Vidyabhushana, who lived about 200 years, 2 to 300 years back, I think about 300 years back. And he, in his Vyakya, he has highlighted 5 of these meanings out of those 11 in his own words. And I'm going to just show you what they mean. So the first meaning he shows is that one who becomes the son of both Devaki and Yashoda simultaneously through separate manifestations. So in this appearance, unique appearance, he is known as the son of two mothers. Normally, in all his other avatars, he is not known like that. Like when he comes as Rama, he is known only as the son of Kaushalya. Right? Similarly, when he comes as Vamana, he is known as the son of Aditi, and so on. In different forms, he is known as the son of one particular mother, but he is here known as the son of two different mothers, Devaki and Yashoda. So Bhagaha means he divides himself in this manner. He is full manifestation, but he comes in two different places. And then another meaning, one who is present in and serves his amshas, the various manifestations. So everything in this universe is an amsha of Bhagavan. And the word bhaga, which comes from the dhatu bhaj, the word bhaga is actually derived from the dhatu bhaj, bhajate, means serves. So he serves his manifestations in different ways. So that person, amsha bhagaha, means a person who serves all his manifestations, and to continue that service, he appears as Krishna. The third meaning, one who through his expansion, Amshena, as the Purusha, Vishnu, oversees Bhagaha, his Maya. So his Maya Shakti, which runs this universe. Okay, this universe actually is the Bahiranga Shakti of Bhagavan, Prakriti. So Prakriti is the Bahiranga Shakti, and Prakriti is operated by his Antaranga Shakti called Mahamaya. So Mahamaya is his Bhaga, his Amsha. And so with this Amsha known as Purusha, Vishnu. His Vishnu avatars are all called as Purusha avatars. So through that Purusha avatara, he oversees Maya, Amsha Bhagena. Then the word Bhaga is also understood as Bhagadeyaha. Bhagadeyaha in Sanskrit means good fortune. So here it says his Amsha, his appearance, presence is actually a good fortune for the Devas. So that's what he means by Amsha Bhagena. In order to show, to create a good fortune for the Devas, because Devas go and pray to him. Before he comes, they're all praying to him and saying, please come and help us. So he comes in order to create the good fortune for them. And finally, the fifth meaning is the one whose sonship, becoming the son of Devaki, is different from the sonship in Yashoda. In the first type of sonship, when he is the son of Devaki, the awareness of his splendor, Aishwarya, predominates, and the feeling of this is my son becomes a little inferior to that. Means, from Devaki's point of view, he is not only her son, but he is Bhagavan himself. She is aware of his Bhagavata, his nature, his Aishwarya nature, that he is God. Actually, God has become my son. So she's aware of both. And that feature as God actually dominates over that feeling of motherliness towards that child. But in the case of Yashoda, what happens is that Bhagavata is not at all present in her consciousness. She is not aware, although she knows in her subconscious mind that God has come himself, he is my son, but that doesn't predominate, that doesn't come into her conscious thinking at all. What she thinks only is that this is my sweet baby. And that sweetness of that child, it's a very sweet child. So all the time she only thinks of that child as a sweet child. There is no consciousness of Bhagavan in her mind. So therefore, that sonship, that this is my son, predominates her consciousness. So the fifth meaning here, Amsha Bhaga, there's a clear division, not only in the fact that he's having two different mothers, but in the way in which they are mother. In one of them, the motherliness is a minor aspect, it is Gauna, and the other one, it's Mukhya Bhav. It has a Mukhya Bhav, it's a major aspect in the consciousness. So he's showing that in the same manifestation, there are bhaktas who look at him in two different ways, in two different types of consciousness. Okay, so this way, Sri Bhagavan is instructing Yogamaya that look, after you do this transfer of my Anantasesha from Devaki to Rohini, I myself will appear in my full potency. My full manifestation will appear in the womb of Devaki. Archayishyanti manushyastvam sarvakamareshwarim dhupopahara balibihi Sarvakamarapradam. So he says, now you are not an ordinary personality. And he wants to make that known to the readers like us. Because we are reading this. So we are reading that she is an assistant, or she is the person who's carrying out the orders of Bhagavan. So we may think that after all, who is she? She is no big deal. But no, she is not some small entity. She is actually a very powerful personality. And she is, who is she? He says that people will worship you, Manushyaha, the human beings on this earth, will worship you as their supreme goddess, Sarva Kama Vareshwarim. Vara means the person who bestows all kinds of boons on us. Sarva Kama Vara. She, all that we ask of her, she is ready to give us. And she is the master of that. She is the supreme goddess who can do that. And how will they worship you? They will worship you. Dhupopahara balibihi. They will offer you incense. They will offer you lamps. They will offer you food, etc. Right? And you will be known, Sarva Kama Vara Pradam. You will be known as the one who grants the desired. Okay, so who is this goddess? Namadheyani kurvanti sthanani chanara bhuvi durgeti bhadrakaliti vijaya vaishnaviti cha. They will know you by different names, and they will also create different places of worship. Namadheyani kurvanti means they will assign different names to you. They will call you by different names. And sthanani cha naraha bhuvi sthapayanti. They will build different temples for you. They will create different places of pilgrimage for you. Okay, and you will be known by names like Durga. The very first name is Durga, so it's Mother Durga. Bhadrakali, Vijaya, Vaishnavi, Kumuda Chandika Krishna Madhavi Kanyaketi cha Maya Narayani Shani Sharadetyambiketi cha. So only those four names, no? Kumuda, Chandika, Krishna, Madhavi, Kanyaka, Maya, Narayani, Ishani, Sharada, Ambika. These are also names of you. These are also your names. You will be known by all these names. And of course, there are many other names also. Today we address Mother Durga and we worship her. She is not an ordinary personality, and there should be absolutely no disrespect towards her in any manner, right? All over India. It's not only in the eastern part of India that Durga Puja happens. Durga is worshipped in all the states, in all parts of India, in different ways, especially in those 9 days. But even apart from that, throughout the year, in so many different temples, in so many different homes, Mother Durga is worshipped, and she is the same as Yogamaya as well as Mahamaya. As Yogamaya, she assists Bhagavan and his bhaktas in different leelas, and as Mahamaya, she serves the living beings in achieving their material enjoyment and becoming further trapped in this samsara. Garbha sankarshanattam vai prahus sankarshanam bhuvi rameti loka ramanat balam balavaduchrayat. So, because my expansion Shesha is drawn out of the womb. Okay, that's called Karshanam. Karshanam means drawing. Sankarshanam, Akarshanam, like attraction, drawing. So he's forcibly taken out. He's not going out by himself. You are taking him out. Because of that reason, he'll be known as Sankarshana. His name will be Sankarshana. He'll also be known as Rama because Lokaramanatha, because he will give a lot of happiness to people. Wherever he is, he will make people happy. So we will see that. And therefore, he is also known as Rama. Rama means one who gives happiness or pleasure to others. And that is how the son of Dasharatha, Sri Rama, also gets his name as Rama. Because he gives so much happiness, not only in the Treta Yuga, but even today, right? We say Jai Sri Ram. Every now and then, when there is something, we say Jai Sri Ram, right? So, because we like that name Ram, it's so nice to say it, and we feel inspired when we think of Ram. And then he will also be known Balavat Uchrayat. Balam Balavad Uchrayat. He'll also be known as Bala. Okay, Bala. The name Bala will come to him. He is known as Balarama, or also known as Balabhadra. In Puri, Jagannath Puri, he is known as Balabhadra. He sits next to Jagannath as Balabhadra. And that's because of his extraordinary strength. He will be much, much stronger than anybody else. So because of that, he will be known as Balabhadra or Balarama. सन्दिष्टैवं भगवता तथेत्योमिति तद्वचः प्रतिगृह्य परिक्रम्य गां गता तत्तथा करोत्. So Yogamaya Sandishta Evam, instructed by Bhagavan in this manner, Tatha iti. She said, okay, sir, I'll do it. I'll do whatever you say. And then she said, Om. She chanted Om and she absorbed his instructions into herself. Parigrihya means she completely internalized them. Okay, now that would become her meditation. Whatever Sri Bhagavan has told, it has to be done. Parikramya, she did parikrama of Bhagavan. Okay, after hearing his instructions, tam parikramya, gam gataha. Gam means the earth. She came to earth. She manifested herself on earth, and tat tatha karot. She did exactly as she was told. गर्भे प्रणीते देवक्या रोहिणीं योगनिद्रया अहो विश्रंसितो गर्भ इति पौरा विचुक्रुषुः. गर्भे प्रणीते देवक्या रोहिणीं योगनिद्रया अहो विश्रंसितो गर्भ इति पौरा विचुक्रुषुः. So when this happened, when Yoga Maya, Durga, when she came and she removed Devaki's womb, okay, it is described more in detail in Harivamsha. In several shlokas, the Harivamsha narrates how when Devaki was deeply in sleep and Rohini also was deeply in sleep, both of them were deeply in sleep. Suddenly, the womb of Devaki emptied itself. And Devaki, of course, did not know at that time. She was in Yoga Nidra. She was put into Yoga Nidra by Yogamaya. Similarly, Rohini also was in Yoga Nidra, and she felt, actually she was also carrying the embryo. She was not carrying Sesha, Ananta Sesha before that, but she was carrying another embryo. Right. So it is said that in preparation for her becoming the mother of Sesha, by the same arrangement of Bhagavan, she was also carrying a embryo. Maybe Anantasesha entered into her in some other way. Harivamsha says that she was also carrying a child for 7 months. And Devaki was 7 months pregnant with Anantasesha. Rohini was also 7 months pregnant, the same duration of time. And at that time, suddenly Rohini felt in her dream that her body was bleeding and blood was flowing out of her body, and she could sense that there was going to be a miscarriage. And she became very distressed, and in that distress, Yoga Nidra in the form of Mother Durga appears to her in the dream, and she tells her that don't worry. Now, this miscarriage is not a miscarriage. Anantasesha is appearing in you as a child, and you are very fortunate. She gives her reassurance, and then Mother Rohini goes back to sleep. She's very happy with that. So, here what happened? Here in Mathura, Devaki lost her child from the womb, and then she woke up and she realized that no longer the child is no longer there. And the residents of Mathura, Pauraha, means the residents of Mathura, when they got the news, they said, "Oh God, we were so eagerly waiting. We were hoping that this child would survive, but this child also is lost." So they were effectively saying that Kamsa has done something by which even the seventh child of Devaki has been killed. Right? So they were very, very sad. So this is how the second chapter of the Dashama Skanda of Srimad Bhagavatam begins. It begins with Sri Bhagavan instructing his Yogamaya, his Antaranga Shakti, to do this transfer of the seventh baby from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. And Yogamaya carries that out and prepares for his arrival. So in the next class, we will hear about Sri Bhagavan's appearance in the womb of Devaki. But here, I wanted to again point out from the Vyakyas that I read, this particularly from the Vyakya of Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur to the commentary on the eighth shloka. The eighth shloka talked about the transfer of uh, the Sri Bhagavan telling Yogamaya to transfer, to do the transfer. In that commentary, he talks about the whole process, the unique way in which he prepared this appearance. Normally, a child may just appear in the mother's womb. The mother is pregnant or carrying for some time, maybe for 8 months or 9 months, and then the child appears, right? But Sri Bhagavan, every time he comes in a very unique manner. And so, in this particular appearance, you can see how he sets it up by having six babies getting killed, and then a seventh baby coming, and that baby also is not born but is transferred to another womb, and finally he appears as the eighth one. So why does he do it this way? What is the meaning of this? So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti, or Sri Chakravarti Pada as we address him, he gives a beautiful explanation. He says this is actually metaphorical, and it represents the process of bhakti paripati, which eventually leads to Bhagavat Sakshatkar. What is the reason for doing bhakti? Bhakti is the means to Bhagavat Sakshatkar, and in Bhagavat Sakshatkar there is continued bhakti. So bhakti is both the means and the end. But the end of bhakti also leads to Bhagavat Sakshatkar, which is the full realization of God. When we fully realize God in all his aspects, then we are filled with prema. And prema is the process through which we realize Bhagavat Sakshatkar. So he brings the metaphor by beginning with all the elements of the story, in which the six sons which are born to Devaki, actually they are the six sons of Marichi in a previous birth. We heard this in the last class too. The son of Brahma, who is mentally born from Brahma, he emerges from Brahma's mind, and he has six sons, and these six sons are cursed, and they become sons of Kalanemi, and then again they are cursed, and then they become sons of Devaki. So these six sons of Devaki actually are sons of Marichi. So Marichi is one element in the story, and Marichi represents the mind of the human being. The six sons of Marichi, then Kalanemi, and then Devaki are the desires that the mind has normally for the six sense objects. So The six sense objects we know, the senses, the eyes, the sense of sight, the sense of hearing, the sense of sound, the sense of tasting, the sense of smell, and the sense of touch, and then the mind. Mind is the sixth sense. So each of them has their respective objects in this world, and we run behind those objects. We're looking for the pleasures that we get from these objects, right? Without those pleasures, we cannot live. So the six suns represent those objects, and Devaki represents bhakti because she gives birth to Bhagavan. Through her, Bhagavan appears. So through bhakti, Bhagavan appears. So Devaki represents bhakti. Kamsa, what does he represent? Kamsa actually is a person who embodies fear. He, first of all, he himself lives in fear, and he lives in fear because he always creates fear for the others. Okay, those who create fear for others live in fear themselves. Those who create happiness for others live in happiness themselves. Okay, this is the property of this world. So Kamsa represents fear, and he represents particularly the fear of material existence, samsara. Anantasesha, who appears in the womb of Devaki first, he represents the practice of prema bhakti, the bhakti sadhana, which is through the activities of shravanam, kirtanam, hearing the glories of Bhagavan, narrating the glories of Bhagavan, remembering the glories of Bhagavan, remembering the qualities of Bhagavan, of God. So these are all the elements of the practice of prema bhakti, and Anantasesha represents that form of prema bhakti. And eventually, Krishna, the last element in the story, represents the full realization of God. He is the full manifestation of Bhagavan, Bhagavad Sakshatkar. So, the six sons appearing in Devaki's womb are the manifestation of the desires for the sense objects in the person who has the seed of bhakti in him. So these six sons, when they come to Devaki's womb from Marichi, right? When they are in Marichi, they are the presence in somebody's mind, in anybody's mind. But when they come into Devaki's womb, they represent how, even for a person who has the seed of bhakti in them, who wants to practice bhakti and is attracted towards bhakti, he is immediately not free from all the desires for the sense objects. They remain in him for some time until Kamsa, the fear of samsara. Okay, when the bhakta, he becomes more and more conscious of how samsara is actually very dangerous. Samsara is not where I ought to be. Samsara is actually suffering. And the bhakta gradually and continuously gets that knowledge, becomes aware of that, then the attachment to these sense objects, the desires for the sense objects subsides and eventually killed. Okay, just like Kamsa kills the first six sons of Devaki, the fear of the samsara in the bhakta's mind kills these desires for sense objects, and Anantasesha appears. As the desires for the sense objects goes away, there is the ground for Prema Bhakti to appear. Prema Bhakti becomes more and more present in the Bhakta's heart. Prema Bhakti is the Antaranga Shakti of Bhagavan, just like Yogamaya. She is Radha. Radha appears. She appears. She is Antaranga Shakti in her purest form, Hladini Shakti. So she appears in the Bhakta's heart. And when she appears, then the enthusiasm for listening to Bhagavan, listening to his narratives, talking about them, spending more and more time with him, thinking about him, even as we do all our work. It's not that we have to leave our work and do this, but in every part of life, it pervades our life in all ways. So as Prema Bhakti grows in that person, eventually Krishna appears. So Anantasesha grows for some time and then makes way for Krishna. So Krishna appears in the womb of Devaki in the same way. In the heart of the Bhakta, Bhagavad Sakshatkar happens because of the presence of Prema. Prema facilitates the appearance of Bhagavan. Bhagavan Swayam appears, and the Bhakta has full consciousness of Sri Bhagavan's presence inside himself in full manifestation. And then Prema goes into its infinite levels. So, this is a beautiful metaphor in the Vyakhya of Sri Chakravarti Pad in the eighth shloka of this thing, and he beautifully analyzes it. And he says that is why Sri Bhagavan appears like this, because he wants to make us know that there is something very special in my appearance. In this appearance, I've come to give bhakti to everybody. So we have reached the end of today's discussion, and I just want to tie it up by saying that, like in the beginning of this class, I said the missing element in our life is the awareness of God or Bhagavan. If we bring that element into our life, or if we accept, or if we open our awareness to the existence of God and His qualities and our connection with Him, then life changes. And life changes not only for the better, but for the much, much better. It becomes much better. Happiness pervades our life, and misery automatically goes away. Okay, answers to so many different questions all become clear. So, with these words, I will stop for today. And now I will unmute you, and I look forward to hearing your comments, questions, etc. Yes. Please feel free to unmute yourself anytime and ask me anything that comes to your mind. I'll also turn on the video panel. Yes, Puneet, you have anything to ask? I see your video is on.
So can you just please elaborate about more about the Radha, the extra Shakti you have just talked about?
Yeah, Radha is the Antaranga Shakti of Bhagavan. It is that Bhagavan's Shakti with which he continuously feels happiness, he continuously feels pleasure. It is that potency in him because of which his happiness is infinitely increasing. He is never in any kind of misery. Misery is unknown to him. He's always happy, 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 and happier. So that Shakti manifests as a person known as Radha, that we call as Radha. And that Shakti, just like I said, Yogamaya is engaged in his service. Yogamaya takes a particular kind of service. So it's that same Shakti which later becomes Durga. See, Radha becomes Lakshmi when Krishna becomes Vishnu. When Krishna takes the form of Vishnu, Radha takes the form of Lakshmi. And she relates with him as the way in which Lakshmi relates to Vishnu. And similarly, when Sri Bhagavan, he becomes Shiva, so same Lakshmi becomes Durga. So they're all the same Antaranga Shakti coming in different forms. You see that potency. And that same Shakti, in the process of bhakti, see bhakti as we understand Laukik in this Laukik world, how do we understand bhakti? If somebody says the word bhakti, what do they mean by it? कि उनको बहुत भक्ति है और मंदिर जाइए वहाँ बहुत भक्ति मिलेगी. So what do we see? We see people going to a temple, and in the temple, people are there standing in front of God with their hands folded, and sometimes they're singing bhajans and they are crying, or they're wearing some mala and some tilak and so on. So bhakti, when the word bhakti is brought to mind, what comes to mind is people singing, people wearing different kinds of symbols in their body, etc., etc. Right? And normally, you see, there's a misunderstanding of bhakti that bhakti is for people who are emotional. Jnana Marga is for people who are intellectual, people who are knowledgeable. Okay, so therefore, studying Sanskrit, studying the Shastra, studying the philosophies of Vedanta, Nyaya, etc., is for the Jnana Margis. But for Bhakti Marga, it's for people who are emotional, people who cannot really follow, understand much. They have to go and do Bhakti. Okay, this misunderstanding is there about Bhakti. That's not true. It's not true at all. Bhakti is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. Bhakti is beyond Jnana. Bhakti is not merely some material emotion. It's not a material emotion. It is the Antaranga Shakti of Bhagavan, which is completely non material. It manifests in us. It's not there in us by default. Bhakti cannot be mentally created. Just because somebody tells me, okay, now do bhakti, what I can do is I can do the activities of sadhana bhakti, like doing japa, for example, right? I can say that, okay, with commitment, I will do japa, or I will do kirtan, or I will study the Bhagavatam, study Bhagavad Gita. Okay, there are different activities, or I'll go clean the temple. Cleaning the temple of Bhagavan is an activity of bhakti. Okay, there are like this, there are hundreds of activities of bhakti. Bhakti is not limited. There's so many different activities through which bhakti sadhana is done. But when we talk about bhakti as a Shakti, what we mean is that Antaranga Shakti which comes into that bhakta in response to his sincerity. When the bhakta sincerely endeavors for that bhakti, then when bhakti realizes, when Antaranga Shakti, when Bhagavan, when the kripa of bhakta comes, then that bhakti manifests into that bhakta. And when that bhakti manifests, Sri Rupa Goswami describes, then it develops a kind of excitement in that bhakta's heart. He becomes excited. It's exciting. That emotion is exciting. Okay, it's not something that is just a flickering emotion. It's not something that just comes, feels good for some time and then goes away. It's something that permanently stays. It comes just like the sun rises. It comes, the sun rises and completely brightens up that bhakta's life. So we hear about so many great acharyas doing so many extraordinary things. It's because of the presence of bhakti. Without that, it's not possible. So Radha is that bhakti. Puneet, you're speaking something. Your mic is on mute.
Sir, I want to just say that in parts like Gokul, Mathura, and Vrindavan, they depict Radha as a girl, and there are so many stories and kathas related to Krishna and Radha.
Yeah.
The things which you are telling is entirely different from the people who are the people believe in that area.
Yes, yes. So this is whatever I'm saying is based on the Bhagavatam
Yes.
and the Shastra, right? We should study, we should come to know, we should learn about these things from the Shastra, just like we learn about any subject. Like you're learning operations management or you learn statistics. You don't learn statistics by some emotional process. It's not some emotional thing, right? You study statistics through a proper statistics book. It's a well defined knowledge system. Just like that, knowledge about Krishna, about Radha, it's a well defined knowledge system. There are well defined terms. We need to understand the meanings of those terms, which are all explained by different scholars. It's not just some emotional thing that anybody can say anything and it becomes that thing. Yes, if you go to some pilgrimage place today, you might find people who make a business out of this, who make a living out of this by simply talking whatever sounds good, it sounds nice, to say something, sing some songs, and attract people. But we have to be careful to ensure that we hear the right thing, right? We don't get carried away by anybody who says anything. So I'm not taking any names of anybody. I'm only saying that we should study the proper thing. So study the Bhagavatam, study Bhagavad Gita, understand things correctly as they are, and understand them maturely with knowledge. And then the emotion which comes after that is based on knowledge. Emotion should be based on proper knowledge, not just arbitrary, sentiment. That is sustained bhakti. Bhakti will sustain.
So actually, I asked this question because I was in Vrindavan last two weeks. And there is one place, Parsana, where the people believe that the Radha is born there.
Yeah.
And Krishna, Gokul and Mathura, they usually meet in Vrindavan and do all the leelas. That is the question came to my mind. The things which you are telling from Bhagavad is entirely different from the way people believe. There are so many temples naming on the Radha Vallabh, Radha Raman, which are very commonly visited by some saints and all the things are there. So that entirely different. You can say different kind of a knowledge system is there.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Good. Any further question for today? So I just want to say one thing that since we spoke about bhakti, bhakti is the process. You see, bhakti is both the process and the goal of the process. When I say process, I mean the activities that we do in a disciplined manner. And the goal is that energy, bhakti, which comes into us. To have that energy inside us and to become completely endowed with that energy, which is the mentality of seva bhav. When that energy comes into us, the mentality of doing seva becomes perfect. Okay, then we see ourselves as a servant of everything because everything is Bhagavan. Bhagavan is everything. So we see ourselves as a servant and we do our activities in seva bhav. We live in seva bhav. So now, what is the way to do bhakti? How do we go towards that? The simplest and the most fundamental practice of bhakti is the japa of Sri Bhagavan's names, Harinama Japa. And it is said that in the Kali Yuga, in this age called Kali, chanting the name of Bhagavan, doing his japa, Harinama Japa, is the process. Harer Namaiva, Harer Namaiva, Harer Namaiva Kevalam, Kalau Nasti Eva Nasti Eva Nasti Eva Gatiranyatha. In Kali Yuga, there is no other process than chanting the names of Hari because it's a simple, easy to access process that anybody can do. Whether they have intellectual ability, they don't have intellectual ability, whether they are very capable of singing or they are not capable of singing, anybody with any kind of gender, race, community, religion, doesn't matter. Anybody can chant the name of Bhagavan. It's so easy and so accessible. All we need to do is in our mind give up any kind of kapatta, become completely nishkapat, become genuine, become completely genuine, give up all offensive thinking, and say that I just want to serve Bhagwan. I want to feel Bhagwan's presence inside me, and I want to completely live with him. I want Bhagwan to live with me, and I want to live with him. In his existence, I should be present, and in my existence, he should be present. So, with this intention, when we do the japa of Sri Bhagavan's names, very quickly we make progress in the path of bhakti. And we find automatically our mentality changing. Automatically, so many things get resolved, and bhakti becomes more and more strong inside us. Okay, so this is the process of bhakti, and we will keep talking about this. And if you're practicing bhakti, then I'll give you more tips as you start doing it. And with these words, I will stop for today.
So how can we start doing bhakti meditation?
Like I just said, by the process of japa, I can explain to you in person. So something I can't tell you in more detail in the classroom like this, but when we meet next time in person, I can explain to you about how the japa is done and what are the simple, very simple actually. It doesn't require any major change in your life. In the life in which you are living now, we can do it, and I can show you how to do that. I'll show you how to do that.
Yes, thank you.
Good. So with this, I will chant the Antya Mangalam for today, and we will close today's class. Next week, we will go to the second part of the story, second part of the second chapter of Dashamaskanda, where Sri Bhagavan's appearance is described. ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे धन्यवादाः पुनर्मिलामः थैंक यू